It's the first time that the bank's annual meetings are being held outside of the continent. Why India?
Well, first and foremost, I think, the theme of the annual meeting of the African Development Bank this year is transforming agriculture to create wealth. And when I take a look at the place that has actually done impressively on that, I think of India. India in the 1960s and early 1970s was a food import dependent country, and they took a decision that they had to feed themselves. And they did. Today, India is a global powerhouse in food and agriculture. It didn't take them 10 years to do that. It took them 3 years to do that with very strong political will. And so Africa needs to feed itself. Africa cannot continue to spend $35 billion a year importing food. It makes no sense. And if we do nothing about it, that's going to rise to $110 billion by 2025. And so I believe that having the meeting of the African Development Bank right here in India will be inspirational for folks to see that India has done it, Africa can do it, and Africa has to do it. Bilateral trade between India and Africa is booming. 2005-2006, the total amount of bilateral trade between India and Africa was only $11.7 billion. In 2016, that had gone up significantly to $56.9 billion US dollars. And we expect that to reach over $100 billion just in the next 2 years. And so there's a lot that Africa has to offer India as well. Africa offers quite a lot of minerals, precious metals, agricultural produce to India, including oil to India. But as I said to you, Africa should not be offering just raw materials. Africa has to be processing that because that's where the value added is and that's where the money is made. To unlock the potential of agriculture in Africa, we've got to look at agriculture very differently than we are currently looking at it. Agriculture is not a development sector. It's not a social sector. Agriculture is a big, big business sector. And we've got to make sure that we change our lenses to look at agriculture as a business all across Africa. And to be able to do that is why the bank, the African Development Bank, will be investing $24 billion over the next 10 years, which is 400% over what we've ever done as a bank in the agricultural sector. And what are the critical things that we want to support to do differently in agriculture? First, we want to support agricultural industrialization on the continent. Africa produces today 75% of the world's cocoa beans, but we get only 2% of a $100 billion chocolate market. And what's the brain surgery in making chocolates, for goodness sake? Africa produces so much cotton, but it exports is raw cotton, fiber, right? And Africa produces a lot of tea and also a lot of coffee beans, but it exports them raw. And so we want to help countries to actually become competitive in processing and adding value to everything that they produce. So agribusiness is going to be a key component.